have heard repeatedly in past couple of weeks related to Ibrahim alayhi salam's story from Surah Maryam. The translation of it is, "O my father, why do you follow which does not hear, does not see, and will not benefit you at all? O my father, indeed there has come to me of knowledge that which has not come to you, so follow me, I will guide you to an even path. O my father, do not worship shaitan. Indeed, shaitan has ever been to the most merciful disobedient. O my father, indeed I fear that you will be punished by the most merciful. You would be to shaitan a companion." I chose this because I wanted to not just talk about Hajj, I wanted to talk about some lessons we can learn from this story. It's a lot of stuff. At least there are 20-some lessons. We are not going to have time, of course, but in the 20 minutes that we have, but let's touch upon some of them. The events leading to the building of Kaaba, which is the center focal point of the Hajj, is the history of Islam, is the history of the Deen. Ibrahim alayhi salam's story, when he dealt with his father, is an important phase of that history, and it leaves a lot of lessons for us. First, Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, when Ibrahim alayhi salam as a young person, teenager, thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like some individuals before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam were not satisfied with the practices of mushrikeen, but they didn't know what the true faith of Ibrahim alayhi salam was, but they were in search of that. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said they will be raised as a nation, right? They are called Muwahideen or Tolaka and Hunafa, different names. So in Quran we read, it says, "Iz ja'a rabbuhu biqalbin salim." He approached his Lord, he approached his Rabb with the qalb, which is salim, an open heart, a heart which is yearning to learn. Okay, it's seeking truth. So when you seek truth, you approach Allah and you ask sincerely for guidance, then we have to have open heart. We can't have preconceived ideas. I don't really like it, but no. You're open to learn. That's how Ibrahim alayhi salam approached his Allah. As a teen, this person is thinking. So I am addressing my youth, young brothers and sisters. He was also a teen. In his time, in his scenario, there must have been things he could have done. But nonetheless, he was paying attention to the serious stuff of the life. He was focused and reflecting. In the Quran, there are no less than 600 ayats that ask his followers to reflect upon things, to ponder upon things, think. Right? We all read. Some read a lot of books, some read less books. But on the internet we read. But very few reflect. We sit and say, what does it really mean to me? How should I improve? So knowledge and understanding. This young person had the knowledge. Yes, it was given by Allah Ta'ala, right? Because he had to be an example. But he had the understanding, and then he had the will to take the action. We learned that knowledge and wisdom are not necessarily connected with the age. It's not necessarily true that somebody who's 60 gotta be wiser than somebody who's 25. A 25-year-old, a youth again, could be a wise person. But then how he approaches his father. We just recited those ayah. Each ayah starts with, "Oh my father, Baba, Yabba." You do respectfully. No matter how much you're doing the ikhtilaf, it's a serious difference. But he's very respectful. So and second lesson, when he was educating his people and his father, he was very strategic about it. He didn't say, "Oh well, stars are wrong, moon is wrong," but he out loudly, he talked about this. He took the path through a dynamic thought process to educate his followers, his following human beings. He said, maybe the stars are God. And then he said, but they are setting. Maybe the moon is. But then moon sets and the sun sets. So he's making them think. Rather than passing judgments, he's asking them to think. That's a good way of educating people. And later on we will go over this ayah when he broke all the idols and they asked him, "What have you done?" He said, "Ask the oldest one." He could have said, it makes no sense, so I broke them. After all, I am the son or the father figure is Ibrahim alayhi salam, is the big shot. But he said, why don't you ask the oldest one? But he was saying, you're not going to get an answer. Right? With knowledge and wisdom, there are two things in life. Knowledge may not give you the wisdom. Wisdom comes with the knowledge plus your experience, plus your reflection, plus your interaction, everything. Knowledge makes us better person. The wisdom helps us make others better person. How we dispense the information, how we dispense the knowledge to others. So we learned all these, right? His wisdom, I said, the biggest idol, he said, ask them. Then the moon and sun. When he had an argument with the Pharaoh, and he said, well, I can kill a person. He said, my Lord gives life and takes life. He said, I can take life. Then he switched his example. He realized the person is not going to understand it. He said, well, raise sun from the west. Wisdom. When he pointed to the fact that ask the biggest idol and biggest idol is unable to answer what he was saying. How is it possible that I today in this masjid convince you that this podium is the Lord? You have to follow this object. What kind of state of mind individuals gotta have to believe it? But people did it in the past. They do it even today. How is possible? So he said, behind this podium is somebody. There is always some sharp cookie who is tricking the community. So that was the Ibrahim alayhi salam's father. The religious figures of the time, even in the countries like India, where people bow to idols and stuff, there is somebody else telling them what the idol is doing. Idol says nothing. So we become slaves to other human beings like us. They're just sharper, they're just smarter than us. They take advantage of the situation, or our negligence, or our the lack of knowledge and understanding. That's what he was saying. Look, you're being slave to another person like yourself. It's not an idol. In Surah Maryam, he says, his father said, Ibrahim, have you turned away from my gods? I shall stone you to death if you do not give this up. Now be gone from me forever. On the other hand, the father's behavior is this, that what's making him take this stand? His arrogance, his status of being the religious person, religious symbol or the political symbol is telling him, you got to take a stand. You can't just give up compared to your son, right? You got to hold your ground. And he told his people, he said, "Qalubnu lahu bunyanan falquhu fil jahim." He said, set up or construct for him, Ibrahim alayhi salam, a building, a furnace, and throw him into the blazing fire. You gotta have the heart to do that. Ibrahim alayhi salam didn't have any problem with that. Why? Even when yesterday I went for a laser treatment for 2 seconds. It took 2 seconds. And the person doing the procedure was a Catholic. And I sweated so much that my glasses got foggy little bit. And he said, is it too hard? I said, no. You believe in hellfire, right? You're a Catholic. He said, yes. I said, I'm wondering if the 2 seconds has done this to me, what would I do if I end up in the hell? And so the conversation went on about faith and things. But he was facing a furnace. Did it deter him? Did it tell him, hey, you need to stop? You don't have to. There will be another day. Why don't you move out? Stop messing with the powerful people. He said, no. What was his answer? He said, may peace be upon you. Qala salamun alayka sastaghfiru laka rabbi. Notice that in these ayahs, the word rabbi is used. Why? Because somebody needs to learn, somebody needs to grow. And Allah's attribute that helps us grow is what? The Rabb, nourisher. He's the one who nourishes. So that attribute is being used in these ayahs. He said, I'll ask my Rabb, because he's the one who can help you grow, to forgive you. How? Maybe help you grow in the knowledge. That's a son as an example. When we argue with our parents, when I was young, I argued. I have teenagers, they argue. But we have to be respectful. It's okay to argue, but we have to be respectful. On the other hand, the father, we will learn later on when Ibrahim alayhi salam talked to his son Ismail, how he did it. So how do we deal with the ikhtilaf in our lives, in our masajid, in our community, in our families? So when Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown into the blazing fire, he was still, how long it takes? 2 seconds, 3 seconds? Jibreel alayhi salam appeared and he asked him, do you need help from me? His answer was, not from you, from Allah. No. Think about this, my young brothers and sisters. In that situation, when you are panicking, he had his integrity. He held it together. And he was able to think, and he said, not from you, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, who does it? When you are a believer, they say, "La khawfun wa la huzn." When you are a believer, nothing bothers you. Nothing unknown, which is risky, coming towards you bothers you because I'm doing fine. I will hold my ground. Nothing that has gone bothers you because you are right. You did the right thing in your life. It doesn't bother you. There was a true story of a priest. He was mowing his front lawn and somebody asked him, if you are to die in next 2 minutes, what would you do? He said, I'll try to finish the yards. I'm ready to go. That's how, as a priest, it's a real story. That's how we should be prepared, right, to deal with difficulties. Now next, the whole town witnessed this. Nobody sided with him except one person, another young person. That was Lut alayhi salam, his nephew. And later on Sarah. Just two. So in our own scenario, it's possible that you truly spend time, you sacrifice your time, effort, money, and everything for the sake of God, sake of Allah, and nothing happened. That's fine. We are responsible for what we do, and we do it right. Next, Ibrahim alayhi salam leaves his wife. I spent 11 years in Tucson. I just came back last year. It's a desert. It's hot. Nobody leaves home. April, May, June, you don't leave home. April, May, June, July, August. It's very hot. By law, if somebody comes to your shop or house seeking a glass of water, you got to provide them water. It's a desert, right? A few hundred people die because they cross the border into Arizona. It's hot and they're stuck in the desert. So I know what desert is. Many of you must have gone to Mecca. You have seen it. Imagine thousands of years ago what it would be like. It must have been like a true desert, right? Difficult. But he leaves his wife and a newborn in that area, trusting what? Where do they eat? Where do they drink? We know the story, right? Ismail alayhi salam hit the ground with his heels. That's a symbolic that you did something and the result happened. But you gotta have the trust. So the whole story could have stopped had Hajara alayhi salam didn't have the trust in Allah Ta'ala, the unshakable trust. That kind of trust we gotta have when we know we are right. She raised in that condition a man of character, a young guy who had the strong character. Why? Because she was a lady who lived above the surface of life, or deeper than what we think life is about. We turn to Ismail alayhi salam. Growing up without a father figure. Today we tell, we have statistics. If you don't have the father figure, there's A, B, C, D you're missing in your life. How did she raise a person who didn't miss it? Now this father figure shows up and says, I have a dream. I'm sacrificing. The word is zabha, right? I have a dream, oh my son, that I'm sacrificing. So think, what do you think? It says, Fanzur maza tara. Look, see to it, what do you think? The son says, do what you've been ordered. How did he understand it was an order, not a dream? If one of our youth guys here, your father approaches you and says, it's not going to happen by the way, it happened once in the history. He says, I have a dream that I'm sacrificing. I'm glad it was just a dream, Dad. Or, yeah, leave it at this. It's a dream. Indigestion. How smart this teenager is who feels this is an order. And think about the father who didn't say, hey, look, I have an order, I got to do it. He is asking and giving him a chance. They had hours to think about it and get scared. And he said, you will find me among the Sabirin. And you don't talk when there is a khutbah going on, brothers. You don't talk. When Ismail was the answer to Ibrahim's dua earlier, and he said, when Allah Ta'ala says, وَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ, I'll give you a young person who is Halim. What is Halim? In Tucson, I asked the Pakistani community gathering, what is Halim? The kid says it's a food, it's a dish. I say it's more than a dish. Halim is a young person who is hardened by the tough times. He is sober. He has nerves of steel. He is ahead of his age. He's Halim. He can think, he calm down and he can think calmly about matters. That's what Ismail alayhi salam was. So he got the idea. Next. I just want to skip over some stuff because I'm looking at the clock. Even next, there is a word, Tallaha Jabin. When he lays down, his father puts the knife to his throat, he feels a little bit shivering. Yeah, he said, I'll be among the Sabirin, but we are all human beings. So no matter how great and giant personalities we read about, they're human beings. But they passed the test. That test was so hard that even in the Quran Allah says that. He said, Haza lahul bula'ul mubin. Indeed, this was a great test, immense. It was a manifest, immense trial for him. He passed. Brothers and sisters, avoiding negative things in life is not automatically doing good. We learn from his life. Who spends 180 years going around and one after another test? There was one story, Riwaya I was reading, Jibreel took him to Hijaz. When he was going over Taif, which is green area, Ibrahim alayhi salam asked him, am I going here? Can you imagine it? Think about this. It's you who are going through tests. Maybe you feel this is the end of it. This is where I'm going to land. He said, no, further. There's another test. Can you just think, put yourself in his shoes. It's easy to cut a bakra and eat, but there are a lot of things in the story that we have to pay attention to. So roughly 180 years of age, he did a lot of these things. Are we as followers willing to pay the cost of this commitment that I am a Muslim? أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So what are some other lessons we learned? He was focused on, he had the unwavering trust in Allah and not the circumstances. It's the trust that nothing bad is going to happen to him. Life is temporary. When his father put him in fire, his father was probably very happy. But nonetheless, Ibrahim knew it's a temporary happiness. While he knew I'm going to be in big trouble for next few minutes, but it's temporary. So you're never focused on this, the life of this dunya, when time comes. Ibrahim alayhi salam showed us that you obey all the commands. Following Allah means, ibadah means you obey all the commands, not just rituals. Salat is not the only ibadah. When we go through life, my young brothers and sisters particularly, pay attention to the journey, because going through journey is shaping you. You can't just cut yourself off, learn something about life and come back. You don't learn how to swimming, you don't learn how to swim in your bedroom. You learn how to swim in the swimming pool. That's the journey. So we should not complain no matter what. Time can be hard. We can seek help and strength from others, but we have to keep going. Faith is both believing and doing. I've been around this city 35 years. I think we miss doing a lot. To us, doing is just the ritual ibadah. When making critical decisions, particularly the parents, think generation-wise, generationally. Today what I do is going to impact my next generation and the next. Right? I know in my family, my grandfather or his father, they made certain decisions. Many family members still suffer. Or they're still happy, they're enjoying the result. What do we leave when we think about our generation? Next, you're never too old. He was 180. You're never too old to carry on the message or the mission. Be a leader, whether you're in your family or community or relatives or whatever. And your leadership starts at home. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam is called friend of Allah, Khalilullah. He ain't called friend of Allah for no reason. There's a reason. When angels came to Lut alayhi salam's nation to destroy him, and he learned of it, the word used in Quran is jadala. He started arguing with Allah. Who has the guts to argue with Allah? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I can't go back for 50 prayers. After 5 prayers, I just can't ask anymore. A friend of Allah had the guts to argue with him. Please don't destroy it. Until Allah said, it's destined. It's going to happen. Just stop. You attain that status when you do all things like Ibrahim alayhi salam has done. There is a ayah, we make a dua, inna salati wa nusuki mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. When I was putting this talk together, I skipped a lot of stuff. I said, you know what? I got to think about it if I say it. I just say it. We say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah all the time. When you see new Muslims taking Shahada, I have seen many, they start shivering and crying. It's hard for them to recite it because they know what they're doing. They know what they're committing to. Similarly, this dua is a nusuki wa mahyaya. Is it really true? If I recite it, I'm going to be thinking, all you brothers, look at me if you know me. He's reciting. He shouldn't be reciting this. So, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to give us the tawfiq to be a practicing Muslim. Amen. Allahumma izzal Islam wal Muslimin. Allahumma izzal Islam wal Muslimin. Rabbana ighfir li wa li walidayya wa lil mu'minina yawma yaqumul hisab. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه الصلاة.
Please move to forward, please, shoulder to shoulder. Jazakallah. Omar, everything is okay? Omar, everything is okay? Jazakallah, Jazakallah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, hayya ala falah. Qad qamatis salat, qad qamatis salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Make sure your heels are on the line. Please turn off your cell phone. أقيموا صفوفكم فإن تسوية الصفوف من تمام الصلاة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My dear brothers and sisters, I just have a few announcements. First of all, Jazakumullah khair to our Khatib today, Brother Irfan Sarwar. He has quite a drive to come over here for the khutbah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept his time and bless him inshallah. My dear brothers and sisters, the house just back of the masjid, the northwest side which belongs to the masjid, is actually available for rent. So if you know anyone, any Muslim family who is interested to come close to the masjid, it's available. You can come and talk to me inshallah. I can provide you more information. Again, the house in the back of the masjid available for rent. Also, we have lunch available for sale. When you buy masjid, you're supporting the masjid. When you buy the lunch at the masjid, you're supporting the masjid expenses. Jazakumullah khair for that. Also, there are multiple requests for du'as. Brother Muhammad Sulaiman passed away. His janazah is this afternoon. Please make dua for his maghfirah inshallah. Also, Brother Wasif Rahman, alhamdulillah, he's recovering from the bypass surgery. So continue to make dua for him. He's one of the responsible person for the masjid and a board member, alhamdulillah. Also, multiple brothers and sisters in the community are sick. So make dua for all of them, inshallah. Also, we're starting new Muslim classes in the masjid in a few weeks. We are in the phase of planning. If you know any revert brother or sisters who might be interested, please talk to Umar or any other responsible person. We'll provide you more information. And as soon as the date is finalized, inshallah, we'll publish the flyer. There are multiple pledges that are outstanding from Ramadan, my dear brothers and sisters, for the masjid, for the parking lot extension. So if you are one of them, please fulfill your pledges. Last but not least, masjid runs on your donations. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.